Hi, I'm Diana Montford, the world's first transgender television journalist. Born male, became female. Anyway, I always say that because of the hair. They think, what direction? No, I was born male, became female. And I've been on the air forever. Evidence on YouTube. My guest is fabulous transgender activist and politician, Ms. Melissa Sklarz, who is pretty much a regular on this show. You see her all the time here. And we're going to talk about, as you know, we have a new president. And we are going to discuss what the Trump presidency has in store for the LGBTQ, that's us folks, the LGBTQ community. What is going to happen to us? Take it away.
So I first met Hillary Clinton in 2000 when she ran for Senate here in New York. I thought she was amazing.
That's when I met her, yeah.
I was very surprised at how knowledgeable she was about so many different things. And I was a big fan. I think at the time I was involved in one of the Democratic clubs. And
GLID, remember?
Yeah, with GLID. And she marched with us in the parade. And so I'd gotten to know her. I thought she was a great senator, and I supported her in 2008 when she ran for president. And I was there in the hall in Denver when she stopped her campaign when Barack Obama won the nomination for president. And so I was thrilled and excited to once again be supportive of her. I was selected as the first transgender delegate from New York in this campaign. And I traveled around New York City at first, and then around the Northeast region for Hillary Clinton. And right before the election, and election day, I spent almost a week in North Carolina. No one is more disappointed with this campaign, the way it's turned out. I think she is a great leader and would have been a great president.
Do you think she'll run again?
No, I don't think she'll run again. This was her opportunity. The next generation of leaders within the Democratic Party will take it from here. I don't know what's going to happen in 2020. We've seen very little of Donald Trump so far. I know that the Democrats will work very hard to defeat him in 2020.
Yes, and what do you think Herr Trump has in store for us?
It's hard to say. Here's a guy that has no personal record, no public record. You know, he gave all these crazy speeches. His background was reality television, so he treated the presidential campaign like it was just part of his TV show. And it worked. He did not win the popular vote, but it was enough to get him elected president. What does he have in store? You know, he's born and raised in Queens, but the people around him are all terrible people. They are all anti-equality, and they all look to the past for answers. None of them look to the future.
And excuse me, born and raised in Queens makes it sound as though he's just a regular neighborhood guy. He owns the neighborhood. I mean, born and raised in Queens when he owns most of Queens. You know?
Well, it's a good point. I don't think he ever went to public school, and then he went to military school.
Which was a nice word for reform school, because his family had money, and he really screwed up royally. I'm sorry, Mr. President, but you did. And they sent him to military school because it would have been exceedingly unbecoming to have a Trump in Lincoln Hall. Am I right?
I mean, he did great in military school. You figure that he would have a hard time, but he did very well there. I mean, to me, he looks and sounds like a bully. Perhaps you and some of your viewers know what bullies are like from when they were kids, and everything about Donald Trump is like a bully. The way he talks, the way his body language, the way he sees the world, and I am concerned. You know, it's very, very easy when you're that powerful and that strong with so much money, and now with all that political power, to be able to cast aspersions at everyone else that don't have that same level.
All I can say is this. Donald Trump may have been in military school, but at 70 years of age, he's no longer a 10, you know?
No.
No.
But he is going to be our leader, and the people around him
I'm kidding. Yes.
Still have that sense of being deplorable. I mean, they're a collection of right-wing people, and you know, from Rudy Giuliani, who used to be our mayor in New York, to Sarah Palin and beyond, people that we've never heard of.
Sarah Palin makes me look politically astute. I rest my case.
I mean, there are the people that have brought us every right-wing law about money in politics and have added voter restrictions and
the bill that was
businesses
signed by
taking over
Lyndon
our
Johnson
politics.
in 1965, the Voters' Rights Bill, I believe it's called.
Civil Rights Act of 1964 has
That
completely
too?
been eliminated in the South.
Well, in practice, but it's still the letter of the law.
But what happens is that without a federal judiciary to rule in some of these, already North Carolina and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, places with right-wing Republican governors, they've had these laws stopped because they're unconstitutional, because they work very hard to make sure that Democrats, young people, old people, poor people, and people of color don't get a chance to vote.
And now I've been thinking about this. Okay, first shock, I've been thinking. Second shock about this. We demand diversity. We demand a place at the table. I'm no Trump supporter. But it's like the KKK marching through the middle of town. If a progressive group marches, we have to let the KKK march because that's who we are. We believe in fairness. Everybody has a place at the table. The problem with, to my way of thinking, conservatives is that they say, we own the table and the food on the table, and you're unwanted guests, get out. Whereas we progressives say, it's everyone's table, it's everyone's food, come one, come all. They insist that they own the table, and they try to disenfranchise the rest of us. We say, even the conservatives are welcome. That's the eternal conflict, I think.
Republicans get very upset with the idea that Democrats have the right to make policy, even when people elect them and put them into office. When Bill Clinton was very popular, he was impeached. They came up with 25 different things to try to convict him. Finally, they found the thing with Monica Lewinsky, which was terrible. He was
terrible for all concerned, including Monica Lewinsky.
He was impeached for the House of Representatives, and of course, he was not convicted. They spent 8 years trying to tell America and the world that Barack Obama was not the legitimate leader of America. The first 4 years, Barack Obama did everything humanly possible to try to get the Republican Party to join him in running America. Their ideas were all welcome, and all they did was make him look bad, was to ignore him and to tell the rest of the world that he is incompetent. And the second term, he decided to say, you know what, if you won't work with me, I'll do it myself. They then called him a dictator. They have spent 8 years telling the world that Barack Obama is not a legitimate president, and they get crazy at the idea that Democrats and liberals have a chance to make public policy in America.
They also, now Donald Trump made a specialty of saying that Barack Obama was not born in the U.S. Well, last time I checked, Hawaii in 1961 was the U.S. Since 1959, that's when they were granted statehood. But he just pushed through this birther idea until Barack Obama had to say, here's my birth certificate, sir. I mean, and prove that he was born in the U.S.
I don't...
But never mind what happened. What will happen? What will this man do? Will he eviscerate the LGBT movement? Will he take our rights away, such as our rights are, or supposedly inalienable human rights, which are all too alienable to many people? Will he take our rights away?
I don't know what Donald Trump wants as president. I don't know why he ran. I don't know if he ever expected to win. He got through 16 Republican people to get the nomination, and then he beat Hillary Clinton to become our president. Now he's the president, and so what does he want to do? Does he care about his legacy? Does he want to make America great again? Or does he want to make America white again? I don't know.
That's not physically possible.
I don't know what it is he's looking for. I have no idea what he wants to achieve. He wants to go to war against Mexico and Muslims. None of it makes any sense to me. Is he also phobic about LGBT people? I have no idea.
Excuse me, on the way over to the studio, Melissa and I had dinner, and then we were walking to the studio, and I passed a Muslim woman wearing a headscarf, and I actually apologized to her. I said, "Excuse me, ma'am, I'm so sorry that Donald Trump won." She didn't know what to say. Maybe I made a fool of myself, but I'm genuinely sorry for her. What's going to happen? And you cannot make America white again. First of all, it was never white.
Well,
he
wants to make America great again, which sounds like making America white
well,
again.
short of shooting everyone who's not from England, and he's, I believe, of German descent, like Hitler, who was Austrian, I think, but close enough. I mean, diversity, everyone is everything, and there's no such thing. They proved when Hitler was in power, there's no such thing as the Aryan race. I mean, everyone is everything, you know? I mean, and today with genetic testing, they can find out that everyone, seemingly white, has every kind of blood in them. You know?
Trump likes to go to stadiums with 20,000 people and have 20,000 people laugh at his jokes, clap at his,
I would love
at his lines, and yell and scream his name. I see no other indication he wants to do anything more than that. He told Pence that if run as my vice president, you can run the country, and I will spend my time being Donald Trump. And Pence didn't get it. And he asked the son, what does that mean? And the son said, my father wants to make America great again. So will Pence run the country? Will Trump run the country? Does Trump want to run the country? Does he care about legacy? Does he care about us as a people?
I think Trump really wanted to be a movie star, but it was inopportune for him to try because he had real estate interests. But he's living just like John Gilbert or someone, some crazy 20s movie star, madcap, saying terrible things that the publicity department scrambles to cover up. He's really a throwback to silent films, you know, really. He's like a silent film movie star whom they cannot control. But he has a certain attractive coarseness and charisma that enthralls the public. And that's very dangerous, you know?
I don't think he wants to be president. I think he wants to be emperor. So we'll see. You know,
maybe he wants to be.
He has no attention span. He has very little interest in public policy. He's never cared about public policy before. He's been the guy at the end of the table who yells and screams the loudest. The idea that the nuances of public policy would interest him is unimaginable. If he's going to, 20 million people have gotten health insurance through Obamacare. He wants to get rid of it. And do what? 20 million people, that's a lot of people. What are we going to do about allowing people to have access to health care? Should only the rich have health care? What about everyone else? He is an absolute mystery to me. I can go there and think that he wants the worst for all of us. That's unimaginable to me and inconceivable.
You know, people should give, excuse me, we are the only industrialized nation without free health care. It's a disgrace, an absolute disgrace. And it's bad for the rich because we slaves can't work as hard as they would like if we don't have health care, you know? So, I mean, they should know this. Also, I mean, reproductive rights. A woman's body belongs to a woman. The law stops at her skin. A woman doesn't have to get permission to get a haircut or a manicure. She shouldn't have to get permission to get an abortion at any point in her pregnancy. 5 minutes before she's due to give birth. If she wants an abortion, she should have one. Am I right?
The morning of Election Day, I put on Facebook that I thought Hillary was going to get 320 electoral votes. And to my shock, that did not happen.
She got 215, didn't she?
Yeah, so the idea that I'm an expert on where we go from here as a nation and a culture, I'm probably the last person you should be asking. You should probably ask the loud guy who was cursing on his soccer show.
Anyway,
he's the expert.
What do you think they'll put us in jail, you and me, because we're well-known trans people?
No.
The Trump administration?
No, he doesn't.
Do you think he'll start
care.
like a concentration camp for LGBT people?
No, he wants to make money and he wants power and he wants to be on television and he wants everyone to listen to everything he says, and he wants people around him to tell him how great he is. That's all he's ever wanted. That's all he's ever done.
Isn't that all anyone ever wants? But usually we grow out of it when we're past the terrible twos or something.
Yes.
So
Yes, he's a narcissist. I am not an expert at Donald Trump.
politicians and actresses are also narcissists. But we keep it in check. We don't make it a lifestyle, you know?
I traveled to North Carolina for a week. It didn't matter if any of them knew who I was. It didn't matter what I thought, what I wanted to do. What I wanted to do was knock on doors, talk to as many voters as possible so they would elect Hillary Clinton, our next president. You know, if you're going to be fighting for a cause, there's got to be a sense of selflessness. Then otherwise, it's just all narcissism.
But isn't it dangerous to knock on strangers' doors?
We had lists of people that were either Democrats or were independent. The last thing I wanted to do was go to North Carolina and convince Donald Trump people that their lives and the lives of their family would be better if they supported Hillary Clinton. That is not my idea of a good time.
So you didn't do that?
I did not. We heard the points of view of some of the Trump supporters in North Carolina. They were not happy to see us there.
Were they especially virulent toward you?
No, actually they weren't. We were in Raleigh, and then we went to the suburbs, and then we ended up way in the boonies. And the farther away from the big city we got, the friendlier the people got, and it was awesome. And
is it genuine friendliness or just their manner?
Well, when you leave the big city, when you're going to speak to Democrats, you're going to be speaking to people of color. When you in the South, the political parties are divided by race. And the people of color are the Democrats, and the others are not. And so,
of course, that devalues democracy because the Caucasians in power feel that if black people are doing it, it can't be very good, right?
The people we saw, we were talking to country people, and it was a very different lifestyle. I've lived in New York City for many years, and to really, you know, the idea of me and my friend Dan, and you get these two white folks knocking on all these in these community of color and knocking on doors, and they looked at us and it's like, what are you doing here? But we would talk politics, Democrats, Hillary Clinton, their faces lit up.
Yeah.
We had a great time together. They were happy to see us. They were thrilled to support Hillary Clinton. I wish there were more of them.
But what's going to happen to us to be narcissistic about it?
We're New
the
Yorkers.
LGBT,
we're white.
Meaning that
we're
because
New
we live in a
Yorkers.
bubble, as everyone has been saying about New York, we Manhattanites are safe, whereas people in other areas of the country will not be so safe, LGBT folk.
All urban people support the Democrats. They have for years. You know, it's regardless of sexual orientation.
All urban people?
All cities. If you take a look at
even the ones in North Carolina, Houston doesn't.
No,
Houston,
you're right.
Texas?
Houston, you might be right about Houston. Jacksonville, I think, is one that supported George Bush in the last election. Every other large city supports the Democrats. People move to cities so that they can be in a cauldron of diversity and people see different experiences, different types of food. People that move to cities love diversity, and people that
I was born here. I didn't choose it.
And so they're not afraid of a political party that's built upon the foundation of diversity. They like the idea of that.
I grew up with diversity.
People are on the subway, they're from all over the world. People live in an apartment building, they're from all over the world. People live in cities, don't live in gated communities, and
well,
where everyone's the same and go to the same church. So
there
it's a
are
very
gated communities here in New York.
It's a very different dynamic. People in cities like the Democrats. People elsewhere do not.
See, I live on the Upper East Side, and I'm ashamed to say that there are a lot of Republicans there. But they like diversity, too. And my chair's on my shoe. That's fun.
Hillary Clinton did very, very well in New York City.
Yes, but I mean,
and in New York
you cannot
State.
generalize and say everyone in the city is a Democrat. No, everyone isn't, sadly. And on the Upper East Side, many aren't, you know. But they're not Trump people either. They're perhaps more sophisticated than that.
Donald Trump, when he ran for the nomination, he did not win Manhattan, the county he lived. John Kasich won Manhattan, which is hilarious. When Donald Trump went to vote on Election Day, at his polling place, he was booed by his neighbors.
This time?
This time.
Good for his neighbors. I don't know. All I can say is the government cannot take away LGBT.
So what did he talk? He talked about immigration.
Forget all this bullshit. Can they take away our rights? LGBT rights. I don't give a flying fucking hell what Trump thinks about anything but us. See, I'm a narcissist. What is he going to do? Can he take away LGBT rights?
I think the one thing that comes to mind is the ability for trans people to get passports. That's something that's done at the federal level. Barack Obama has created a framework of federal protections for transgender people. Housing is federally protected. In the workplace, the EEOC is federally protected, and the ability for trans people to get passports under their authentic identity is federally protected.
Meaning you're chosen.
So if he cares, so he can make these things. He can take away protection. He can take away health care. He can, if he's going to do away with Obamacare, that will affect the ability of poor trans people to get access to health care and things like hormones. And the effect it'll have on us will be losing protections in the workplace, losing access to health care, losing access to have a proper passport. These are things the president can do.
What if one has had, and I had my name legally changed, and I have a now female birth certificate? Would that still entitle me to get a passport under my chosen gender?
Yeah, once you have a female birth certificate, then your passport will also be female. What's going to happen is people that have all this identity but have not changed their birth certificate, they should make the effort now, because who knows what's going to happen once Donald Trump takes over. And this type of idea, he rails against political correctness. Part of his railing against political correctness is transgender people have civil rights.
Well, let's hope that his bigotry has some bounds. It's very difficult not to descend to his level and rail against him and his henchpersons or friends, however you choose to look at it, and not to say, this fucking bigot who's ruined our lives by winning this election, you know?
I think what's going to happen, he's going to have allies that are going to be very, very anti-LGBT. And we'll see how much authority they get to really change our lives. Here in New York, we're protected. The mayor and the governor believe in us and our lives. The law of the land is marriage equality.
Can that be rescinded?
No, it cannot. It would have to. The Supreme Court said that all of us have equal protection under the law. They can't make up the rules once every 10 years. We have equal protection under the law, and it doesn't change. The only reason it was illegal is because they didn't like gay people, and that's not a good enough reason to do away with the 14th Amendment. The law of the land is marriage equality, and so same-sex families are now legal.
Can they finesse it via religion, saying, well, the law may not mind sodomy, but in our religion, it's a sin and it's against nature, and you're under arrest?
They can say what they can do is give religious people the right to discriminate against LGBT people. They can pass laws that would abridge the First Amendment and allow people to discriminate against LGBT people. They will try that. And now that there will be a 9th Supreme Court justice, either he'll go along with that or he won't. The idea that some religions are better than others is un-American. If they're going to start doing that for Christianity, then who's to say that Judaism can't do it or Islam can't do it? It makes no sense. It defies logic. We are a nation built of law, and even Donald Trump cannot do away with that. Of course, I may be naive.
And that coming from someone with a lifetime of political experience, which is sort of scary when you think about it, that even you, as well-versed as you are in the art of the possible, can be naive about the depths of depravity of a conservative government.
Yeah, I'm always stunned at how hard they try to take away people's rights. It defies common sense and logic, and they work so hard. The battle for gays in the military took years, and in the end, they had no reason other than it made them uncomfortable. But boy, they worked so hard to stop it. And then the Army, just like making the Army integrated, they worked so hard. And in the end, it was fine. Our
It was
Army,
a non-event, yes.
Our Army is committed to defense.
Yes.
And
didn't Plato write that no one will fight harder than a comrade who wants to impress his lover, who's also his comrade, you know?
I don't know.
So, I mean...
So once they integrated the Army, it was fine. Gays in the military is fine. Trans in the military. Will they reverse all that? Stay tuned, folks. We will wait and see.
Anyway, I'm Diana Montford. My guest has been truly well-versed and brilliant trans activist and trans politician, Miss Melissa Sklarz. And listen, if Melissa ever runs for elected office, I hope you'll be smart enough and good enough to yourselves to vote for her, because she sure deserves your votes.
Politics here in New York City is about neighborhoods, so you've got to be in the neighborhood a long time before you get to the
You've
ability.
been there a while now.
I'm approaching 10 years in Queens after living in Manhattan for 14 years, so we will see.
Yes. And you're a homeowner, which is wonderful.
And I'm a homeowner.
Yes, and I'm a homo. Anyway, a house is not a home, honey. I had to get that one in, you know. Never mind. My humor does elude everyone, including me. My guest has been transgender activist and politician, Ms. Melissa Sklarz. I'm Diana Montford, failed stand-up comic. And I love you. Even if no one else loves you, I love you. Which shows what lousy taste I have. No, I think you're great. And you think you're great. And that's all that counts, right? Aren't they great?
Yes, they're great.
They're great. You said that beautifully. Anyway, good night. Sorry, yes. Anyway, Senor Fuentes, it's a long story. I love you a lot. And I'm vamping for time because we still have 20 seconds left. I love you a lot. Hopefully you love me. We love each other. Life is good. Life is beautiful. And love trumps hate, damn it. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes. Anyway, I'll see you next time. Take good care of yourself and love yourself, for God's sake. And for your sake, love you a lot. See you next time. Bye.